Hi, this is Kiersten with Fox Pointe Publishing, and today we are doing our Fox Talk Live, and today is November 9th. You know, the year is flipping, man. I was at another online meeting here about an hour and a half ago, and everyone was talking about, okay, we're going to talk in December, and I'm thinking, December is like so far away. No, it's not. It's like 3 weeks away. Yeah, it's just crazy stuff. Now, I, of course, am waiting for the countdown. Matter of fact, after this meeting, Brad and we're going to go to the grocery store and see if eggnog is stocked yet. We've been looking since August. Haven't seen anything, but
August.
We really like eggnog. I personally think it should be a year long. Huh?
It's so good.
See? It should be a year-long thing. I wonder if Paula has an eggnog recipe in her
I bet
cookbooks.
she does. If she doesn't, my mom does.
Okay. And let's see how bad I can screw that up and not turn it into like some weird, abnormal hockey puck. Anyone who's ever been watching this knows that I am not a good cook. Okay. All right, Fox Talk Live. And tonight we are here with Lyz Tkachuck. She is our the holder of the purse strings, the accountant, the person that makes sure that we're running and has reins on me. Otherwise, I would just go nutty and all over the world, and it would be bad. Okay, so she's my she puts the stop on Kiersten. You can't do that. It's like, okay.
She's our bean counter.
Yeah,
Counter.
she's the official bean counter, as she explains it. All right, we also have AJ Sullivan, but you know her as AJ Sullivan, and her pen name does the Bobby Bear book series and Hearth and Gnome and Finkel and Franny, and she has a lot of other genres that I can't wait till you come out with your your thriller, your spy mystery thriller thing.
There's 2 almost done.
Oh.
So Amy, you have thrillers too? Oh, that's
I do.
I'm going to be spending a lot of money at Fox Pointe.
One is a murder mystery, and the other one, I don't know what to call it.
What's the premise? Not giving it all away. What's the premise?
It is how a cult got started, and it's one of those, they're off the grid and they have very odd practices, and somebody busts it up from the inside.
Oh, a mole.
Oh, can I be the beta reader for that?
Sure.
See, there's a demand for it. We need to get more books. Okay. And then of course me, who's over here going, yay, let's, everyone else. I will admit it, I will confess my corner confessions that I am 3 years past. Well, I got the last one out in 2018, and I was going to get the third one out in 2020, and here we are at the end of 2021. And okay, anywho, really what I need to do is put like blinders on and stick like noise reduction headphones on, and like maybe a splint on my neck where I can't look anywhere else, and put me in front of a computer in a dark room with no
You mean like
internet.
a horse with the blinders on?
Yes. I mean, I am the squirrel, and then I go running off. I mean, my to-do list, if you broke it out, I mean, it looks, yeah,
So we should have Brad monitor your internet usage, and you're only allowed to be on like Word docs and stuff or whatever you write on. And then if you go somewhere, yeah, that'd be fun. See, Brad, I have ideas.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to be put in that position, do you,
well,
Brad?
but here's the thing. No, actually, that'd be great. Because I mean, if I could just pound out a book in a month, and really that's as long as it takes me to write a novel is, 20 to 30 days, because I just get into this zone.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the zone, no one can get a hold of me. Think about if I disappeared for a month. Like no internet, Kiersten. I mean, I know the rest of the world would be rejoicing. They'd be having grades and oh my God, she's off Facebook. But imagine if I didn't answer my emails for a month.
No.
I think that would drive you crazy.
Actually, it'd probably be like a real nice vacation. Well, at first it'd be like, oh my gosh, what am I missing? But then it'd be like, oh, I'm in my book writing zone. But then I get back on in 30 days. Oh my gosh, I'd have 3,000 emails in
Oh,
each
yeah.
account. And you guys know I have 10 different accounts. So anyway, all right, we're just jaw wagging. Okay, what you need to do is, in order for us to know that you're out there, you need to write a question in the chat box. And then Brad, who you can't see on here, but he makes this all possible, he'll relay the question and we'll ask here. So we've got Liz, who does the bookkeeping, the accounting, holds the purse strings for everything Fox Pointe, and is a closet author herself. We keep pestering her. One of these days we might see something. And then we have AJ, who writes multi-genre. She has it all, from picture books to YA to early reader, beginning chapters. She's got mystery thrillers, you know, murders and all sorts of good fun stuff. I write memoirs, kind of a fictional, it's a hybrid fiction, nonfiction, and then I've got children's books, early readers, and a memoir. Did I say that, or I said that? Anyway, so if you write, or excuse me, if you type in a question into the chat box and we will answer it for you, or we'll tell the truth, or we'll make something up. I've got 4 different possible books that we will give away today that you'll have your choice of. So I've got Under the Daytime Moon by Lydia Emma Niebuhr. This is a YA, but I'm actually halfway through reading this myself. A lot of adults read it. It covers the relationship between 2 young girls, a settler and a Native American Dakota. Picks them up at about age 12, takes them into their early 20s, but covers the Dakota conflict of 1862. And actually, it's written, if you can see this, like a journal entry form kind of way. It clips along. There's a lot of information in it. The other book that you get to choose from is The Sand Dancer, also by the same author. This is a cozy mystery. This is the first in the 4-book series of the Thad Wheeler Detective series. Lydia Emma Niebuhr is a standalone. People have been using this as YA, also adult. She keeps things clean. It's a cozy mystery. And people have also been telling me that they're likening these to the Hardy Boys series, kind of an updated series, you know, 50 years younger, but there you go, The Sand Dancer. I also have my memoir, the I Do story. Liz is laughing because she's read this. Matter of fact, she had a copy of this. Oh my gosh, it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Liz and I were we were camping together with a bunch of friends, and she was reading this, and I remember walking down the road and listening to her just laughing. And later I was like, what were you laughing about? She's sitting in her campsite reading this. She goes, I was reading your book. It's hilarious. So there you go.
I finished it that day too, I think. Maybe the next day. I think it only took me a day or 2 to finish it.
Yeah, it's a quick read. It's not a long read by any means. And then I also have, for the kids out there in the world, I have a paperback of Hearth and Gnome, done by AJ Sullivan and illustrated by Kayla Olson Surface. So there you go. Those are the 4 books that I'm going to give away to the 4 lucky people who type into the chat box. And all right, so until someone asks a question, we're just going to start talking. Yay.
That's not gonna be hard for us.
Oh, no, probably not. All right. And since, all right, I told AJ we are going to pick on her. She's in the hot seat. So what do you got coming up? You got AJ and the Bully Bears, and what else?
Well, so Bobby Bear and the Bully Bears, and I asked my grandson, who is 8, if I was to write any children's book, what would he suggest? And his suggestion was Bobby Bear Goes Camping. And so I guess I need to start working on that. And he's going to do an illustration for me, and we'll include that in the book as if Bobby drew it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and he's hilarious. I mean, my grandson. Not so much Bobby. I don't know. Is Bobby funny? I don't think so. Not yet. And then after that, it's Bobby Bear Volunteers. So adding the Bobby Bear Goes Camping makes it 12 in the series instead of
Okay.
11.
I was just gonna ask you that, how many, because I knew there was quite a few. I just didn't know what like the is there an end game, or are you just gonna keep writing?
Well, as the books go on, he gets older.
Okay.
And the one after volunteering, the family adopts a panda bear
Sorry.
from China. So,
Okay.
yeah. So each book he gets a little older. And of course, so do his siblings. But I definitely need to work on, I don't know, do I want the murder mystery or do I want the creepy one with the cult first?
Which one?
Liz, which
Oh, I was
They're
gonna
about
say,
the
which one are
same.
you closer to being done with?
I guess I'd have to look at it again, but they're pretty equal as far as how far into it.
I like both of those. Like I was a huge James Patterson, like R.L. Stein. I read Stephen King books way younger than I should have been, so those are like typically my genre either way.
Yeah, neither one of these would be for children. Just saying.
And then that's pretty good. Yeah. I could read either one. So whichever one you're closer, I guess. Yeah. Like Kiersten
Well,
said.
I'll have to look at them and decide which, because I developed both of them almost to the end. So I'll have to rewrite, like the murder mystery. I have to change it up a little bit because of the cause of death is no longer really valid. So, so I will have to come up with maybe a mysterious illness.
There you go.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see.
So,
Or a weapon. I'm not telling nothing.
so is this something that you would have, I mean, not tying you to something right now, but is it close enough that you would have finished, that you could turn in a manuscript by like late summer or next fall of 2022?
I would say yes.
Okay, then I would say
Maybe
get
not
on-
both of them, just one of them.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say then is make sure that, you write to Chelsea and say, I was thinking, and get yourself on that, because I know she's,
It's
how
true.
her calendar is.
Y'all are kind of busy.
Yeah, we are. That's a good way of putting it.
You need
Chelsea,
to hire more people.
we're working on that. COVID really needs to disappear. I'm just pointing that out. So yeah. All right, so what we're doing here is chit-chatting, and we've got Liz and AJ and myself on, and Brad is in the background, and we're waiting for you to write questions in the chat box, ask whatever you'd like to chat about. You have authors and bookkeepers and publicity and comedic relief and
Sales. You can call yourself
sales. I do sales. I do a lot of that. So if you have any questions about any of that kind of stuff, we could probably help you, or like I've always said, make something up. We're pretty good at shooting from the hip too. All right, let's see, Liz, what's going on in your world? I know you're like moving between offices.
Yeah. We moved into like our official office in August.
Mhm.
So, I was like, ooh, I've got a big girl company now. And, Mary and I actually are in the same room, and we don't have to communicate through text message and phone calls.
Mhm.
And we decided that it's a great office, but it's just one room. And it would be really, really nice to have a conference room. And so literally down the hall is a 2-room space, and it has a door in between the 2 rooms, and it's kind of set up where it's like front room, back room, not side to side.
Mhm.
And it's right next to another client of ours next to them. So it'll be really fun being so close. And then, we're like already getting these decorating ideas, and we're like, we're moving again. But
Moving is horrible.
yeah, and it was kind of nice. This one was, I didn't have tons of equipment to move.
Mhm.
So it was all ordering it to get delivered to our new, our first location. And then this one is just moving it all down the hallway.
Well,
It's our big file cabinet that we're all kind of like going, no, because it's a 5-drawer,
Uh-huh.
fireproof, waterproof.
Oh my, those are heavy.
Yeah, it took 4 or 5 of us to move it down the hall because we got it from another tenant,
Okay.
and we moved it down the hall to our client's space so they could store it till we moved in. It was weird, but it took a lot of us to move. We're like, don't drop it on anybody's feet because
Mhm.
toes will be gone.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing we're really going, oh no, that's going to be so much work.
Well, at least you're not moving outside of the building and up a ramp and in a U-Haul during snow and rain. And I mean,
Oh yeah,
thankfully.
it's like, if we're going to move at all, it's the
Mhm.
best thing to move down the hallway.
Yeah.
Next door would be better, but yeah. Or just, push it through the walls because
Yeah.
it's just huge. It's enormous, but it works. I mean,
Mhm.
it's great because I feel like it's secure. You
Mhm.
can't just walk in and take stuff.
No.
It's locked up like 3 times and stuff inside it's locked up and nobody's taking it anywhere.
No. Probably not.
No.
Well, very good. And so now how many clients do you have now? How many businesses do you work with?
We currently, I think we're at like 23,
Wow.
and possibly I always say possibly because it's like until we have like a signed contract or a commitment of some sort, I never like count my eggs before they hatch, but we have 2 possible more coming on.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so it grew really fast during the pandemic.
Mhm.
That
'Cause
was insane.
I was going to say the beginning of January, well, 2020, January 2020, I think I was maybe your 5th, 6th
5 or 6, yeah,
person? And now
yeah,
you're up to 23, maybe 25.
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, she's
I
hopping
think
right along.
I think you were 6. I can't remember. I counted once because I'm
Yeah.
like, how many? Okay, and then I go, this is like law of manifestation. Careful what you wish for. I'm like, it'd be nice to have, maybe 15 more in like a
There
year.
you are.
Sure.
There you are. Well,
Right.
very good. Well, do you want to tell everyone out in Facebook world and eventually this will be on YouTube world how to get a hold of you and you can manifest like 15 more? Or, and then you can move down
couple more employees.
you can move down the hallway to another office, maybe just take over the entire building,
Sure,
whatever.
that'd be great. Everybody could have their own office space.
You're gonna have to hire more people.
Yeah, that's probably the next plan of attack is once Mary and I are at full capacity, I'll look for another person.
Yeah.
It's working out great. So it's fun to have an employee. It's weird, but it's fun.
Uh-huh. Well,
But
to
yeah.
have the help,
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was when COVID hit, they extended the tax deadline.
Mhm.
So I had clients coming on and then a tax deadline happening later in the year. And it was like all at once in a week. And then that's how some of my clients came on was the tax deadline happened and everybody's panicking and I need somebody to do this and blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I need help. Help I need. And it just so happened. So I've known Mary since before my kids were born. So
Okay.
like almost 20 years.
Mhm.
And we've worked at 2 other companies together and we just stayed in touch all these years. And she got laid off and called me to tell me. And I'm like, well, guess what? I could use some help. So she's like, I'll try.
Well, very cool. All right.
So,
So how
yeah.
do people get a hold of you or do you want to expand or?
Yeah, we can do that. So the best way to get a hold of us is either email me at info@fullcircleacctg.com or go to the website at www.fullcircleacctg.com.
Okay.
Either way, best way to get a hold of us because I usually don't answer my cell phone with unknown callers. So the
And
easiest
then,
way is email.
and then every so often, periodically, her cell phone blows up with me on it. Oh my gosh, what do we do?
What happened now? And what are we doing?
What are we doing now? Oh my God, did this happen? And what? So she's a very compassionate person, or at least for me, she is. So I
I
will.
think I am most of the time.
Yeah, very good.
Well, I think that Liz is also calm, cool, and collected and doesn't go off the handle very often.
Yes, but when I do, it's like a volcano.
Yeah,
Thanks for the warning.
You're welcome.
I don't think I've ever, well, that's good. I don't think I've ever seen her go off as a volcano, but I've seen the bubbling. And you kind of stay back by about 50 miles. And it wasn't aimed towards me. It wasn't, thank God, but it was not aimed towards me, but I've seen where the bubbling could get not good.
Yeah, it's funny because I notice it in myself. Like I feel the inclination going. And I get to the point where I even warn the kids, I'm like, this is the last one. And then it happens. And they're like, we're good. Yes, Mom, whatever you say, Mom.
Sounds good. Whatever.
Do you have teenagers?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And what's funny is I think they were, other than the teenager drama stuff, I mean, it's mostly them feeding off all the school drama. They were harder when they were little than they are now, because they're both pretty, actually all three of them are pretty easy.
Oh,
It's
nice.
just when they were little, it was like, oh, stop.
That's a lot of little at once.
Yeah. But now they're all growing up at the same time, so that works too.
They're like,
It's a fun time.
15, 14, and 13? Or
So we've got 15 and 2 13-year-olds.
You
okay.
have twins.
No, I have a stepson who's 13. They're both the
yeah.
same age. Yeah. So it's super convenient. But yeah, Tierney's got her driver's education done.
Okay.
And we have her test scheduled for February.
Okay.
And yeah, I can't believe she's driving.
Yeah, my 15-year-old grandson is in the middle of driver's ed right now.
Yeah, it's something, isn't it?
Grandson.
Well, okay.
I feel old.
You don't look old enough to have a grandson that old.
Stay off the sidewalks. Is that the
Yes. Well, he doesn't live in Austin.
okay.
He goes to school in Austin, though, so eventually he'll be driving in Austin.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
Tierney will be driving around the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
is that
then
where you live?
Yeah, we live about 15 minutes. I live in Egan, like 15 minutes outside of St. Paul.
Yep.
Or like smack dab in the middle of the two, I think. So yeah, I'll probably take her out to the country first.
Well, but way back when, way back when, I drove a New Yorker. That was my first car when I was 16.
A boat.
That car was what, 30 feet long, literally.
It's huge.
Yeah, it was great because you could put like 5 or 6 bodies in the trunk. And how would I know this? Well, that's how I snuck into the Flying Cloud drive-in movie theater, of course.
Oh.
Yeah. Anywho, but
Are they listening?
What?
Or are they listening, or doesn't it exist anymore?
No, it is now the waste management garbage facility that's on fire most of the time out there. It's across from the Flying Cloud Airport in Eden Prairie. But that's where the drive-in movie theater used to be.
Really?
Yeah, right there on the corner of Pioneer Trail and Homeward Hills Road or whatever it is. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
I know what that is.
Yeah. But way back when the dinosaurs flew around, that was when I was driving the New Yorker and shoving bodies in the trunk. But yeah, at 16, I was driving all over Minneapolis, downtown Minneapolis, down Highway 100 with, as narrow as those lanes are and stuff.
Oh yeah.
In
that big honking car.
In the snowstorms and everything else, I mean, I was just flying down the road having a lovely old time. So, it can be done. And matter of fact, actually, if you probably grow up driving in the cities to begin with, you're probably a lot more chilled throughout. I would think that. I mean, versus learning how to drive where there's one tractor and a cat in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Versus sitting in rush hour out on 494.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think some of my, if I remember correctly, some of my on the road was like, West 7th during
Uh-huh.
rush hour traffic.
Yeah, well, that would do it.
Yeah, I remember
Well-
sitting, it was West 7th to get onto 35 going south, and there's
Uh-huh.
no arrow there.
No.
And I just remember going, oh dear, we're gonna die. Even I think that. This is not okay.
All right. So if you would like to not hear more about our pre-driving way back when the dinosaurs flew around and we stuffed bodies in trunks and went to now garbage dumps on fire. If you would like to hear something more about books, what?
That just reminded me. So my very first car,
Uh-huh.
I lived in Buffalo, New York. That's where I'm from.
Uh-huh.
And my first car was a Chevy Nova.
Uh-huh.
It was parked on the street because my parents were in the driveway. In a snowstorm, a garbage truck
Oh,
turned the corner, slid into my car.
Yeah. And then drove away, I bet.
Yeah, but my father was retired, so he saw it happen.
Oh, good.
So they fixed the car, but they didn't replace it.
Yeah.
It was never the same.
Oh, of course not. It just
Uh-huh.
screwed up the whole frame. Yeah. And then of course,
I just brought that up because you mentioned garbage trucks
oh yeah, well, there you go.
and cars.
And actually, if I remember, Novas were classic for always having their alignment out. So you would
Yeah.
follow it and it was like driving sideways down the road, Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
But I love that car, man.
Well, I loved my New Yorker. Like I said, I found it very useful to stuff bodies in trunks and
Literally,
literally.
just not dead ones.
Oh, and well, no, because then it stinks up the upholstery. I've tried. Never mind. The breeze
I don't want
works
to know
miracles.
anything else. That's enough. Okay.
All right. So if you're wondering what in the world you just tuned in on, this is Fox Talk Live with Fox Pointe Publishing. We do this the second, the fourth Tuesday evenings of every month. And I'm thinking, though, we should bop it down to one Tuesday of the month going into 2022 because we're so busy. We originally started this because we were all shut-ins during 2020 and the beginning of 21 and had it that. But so I'm thinking we will be going and doing this. So should we do this at the second or the fourth? I'm thinking the fourth Tuesday of the month because that'll be like close to when books are coming out. I usually try to put them out like the 20th of each month. So I'm thinking the fourth.
That'd probably be good.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So 2021, we'll start with the fourth Tuesday of every month. We will do this, but yeah, it's just a chance for the world to sit and chat with us or find out what we really talk about. And now you know. And so, if you would like to hear something other than all of this, ask us a question. Put it in the chat box. Honestly, we do not know you exist unless you write a question in the chat box. And if you do, tonight's wonderful giveaway books is Hearth and Gnome by AJ Sullivan, kids book for the 4 to 8-year-old. It's a
I call it a pre-reader. You have to read it to them. And you
Okay.
have to do the voices, darn it.
Oh yeah, you have to do the voices
That's the best
too.
part.
And that's Bert, the gnome, and Brandy the dog. And the funniest thing of it is, it's not in here. Okay. For the longest time, okay, Kayla Olsen Surface has a lab. And she drew the lab, and that was Brandy the lab. And I would go and I would sell this book, and I've seen this book, and how many times have I posted it all over the place? And then one time at an account, I looked at him like, oh, that's Kayla's dog.
Well,
that
it's
long
just
to
like
figure
my
out.
dog, Brandy.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I know that's okay. So I didn't know you had a lab as well, but okay.
I did. Mhm.
Okay. And now you have a Lola.
Now I have a Lola that's trying to get me to play with her, yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Yeah, I can hear that there. And then I do 15 years of wedding misadventures. For those of you that don't know, I used to do professional wedding videography, about 15, 16 years of it. I have personally been to 1,403 weddings, and I have seen things, and they're in this book. And I wrote it because I knew I would get old and I would forget things. And I've seen a lot of really cool things. Matter of fact, what was it? 3 days ago, November 6th. What was it? 24 years ago, 25 years ago, on November 6th, I was at the Walt Disney World Resort shooting a wedding. And it's in that book, and it was really cool. All right, The Sand Dancer. This is a cozy mystery by Lydia Emma Niebuhr. People also liken it to the Hardy Boys series, so good book there for you. And then I also have Under the Daytime Moon by Lydia Emma Niebuhr as well. It's historical fiction, and it covers the Dakota conflict of 1862. And you could win one of these books if you would just put a question in the chat box. It's that easy, and then I'll get your mailing address, and I'll go to the post office tomorrow because I got to mail out other books, and then we get a free book, and that's just the way that goes. But you need to ask a question, and so there's no questions on here. Okay, people. All right, what else should we talk about? Let's see. We've talked about dead bodies in the trunk, waste management on fire, flying down the road, traffic jams, and we're all going to die. What else should we talk about? What else should we talk about? Oh, moving a really big safe, and if it lands on your feet, it's going to cut your feet off.
Gone.
Oh, and AJ's got a couple of books. Let's see, there's a cult from the inside. So we have a mole situation. And what was the other one? Did you say
Murder
that?
mystery.
Oh, okay.
4 women,
Okay.
4 females are affected.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, let's see. What do I have? Okay, I've got my third of my Corner Confession series. I've got 21 more. So the whole series will have about 50, 51. I got a nice review on The Lives We Live just actually October 23rd, so a couple weeks ago. But nice review on that. And then actually when I was at the Twin Cities Book Festival, some guy came up and said, "Hey, are you Kiersten Hall?" And I'm like, why? It wasn't me. I didn't do it. And he goes, "Well, I read your Corner Confession series and I enjoyed it. And so when's the third book coming out?" I'm like, "Oh, come out." So, but it's, it's there's what, 21 chapters, and probably 18 of them are not, they're more drafted than not drafted, not fully drafted. And see, the weird thing is with that particular series, being that they're all short stories, I mean, each chapter is a short story. It's really easy because I write the entire chapter, but then I have to go back and I have to sew them together and put them in. So it's not writing on an outline. It's not a pantser. It's not a plotter. It's a write 20 short stories and then tie it together with the underlying theme. I don't know if it's easier that way or if it's harder that way, or if I'm just driving myself nuts. But okay, so I've got that one. And then I have my octopus children's book that one of these days it will happen, probably in late 2022. But for those of you out there that don't know, I used to have a pet octopus. His name was Ollie, and I don't know if he knew he was a pet. I mean, he probably knew he was an octopus, but I don't know if he knew if he was a pet. Anyway, but he probably didn't even know he was an octopus. He was just Ollie. Anyway, but it was really fascinating. We had a 55-gallon saltwater tank in the house, and below it we had like a 10-gallon full of goldfish, and every 3 or 4 days we would take the goldfish, drop it in the tank, and goldfish can they do okay in brackish water. They don't do that great in salt water, straight salt water. So there's, some panic, plus it's a different environment and the different, alkaline and acidity and different temperature. And oh my God, we're in a different tank, and plus it's goldfish doing goldfish things. Anyway, Ollie would hide under his piece of coral and he would watch. Have I told you guys this
I've
story?
never heard this.
I've never heard it.
All right, so Ollie, okay, here, I'm just gonna check one more time. No questions yet. Okay, well, you're all gonna hear about Ollie now. Ollie would hide under his piece of coral, and okay, my octopus book has a lot of facts about it because octopuses, and most people would say octopi, but that's not the case. It's oh gosh, I just forgot. Not a Latin base, well, whatever. It's called octopuses. But anyway, they have a blowhole, off their head, basically. And
I
so
think I knew that.
yeah, what they do is they like to hide, they like boxes or hiding under, things or in cans or bottles or whatever. And what they do is they go in and they use their blowhole to blow out a pocket for them to sit in. So he was hiding underneath the coral. And so when there's a goldfish up there and whatever, and he can sense it. I mean, first of all, they have eyesight that can see like 8 to 10 feet in front of them. And he would sit there and watch it. I would sit there and watch, oh my gosh, right against the tank, and he would watch the goldfish. And when the goldfish was like, starting to chill out, and of course it was probably chilling out because the salt water was going through it. And it was like, this isn't right, kind of like as someone would tire out, he would get out and he would swim, up to the top and just wait. And then with, they say they have 8 legs. In fact, they don't. They have, or 8 arms. They don't. They have 2 legs and they have 6 arms. But anyway, he would reach out 2 of his arms and grab the goldfish and wrap all of his appendages around the goldfish. Now, the mantle, which is the thin skin between the arms, it's not opaque and it's not solid, but you can still kind of see the fish. And so he suffocates. That's how they eat. They suffocate the prey,
You mean drown them?
Well, drown them, also suffocate them. Yep. And so really tight. And then once the shaking and it's all done, he would, with a couple of arms holding onto it, he would swoosh himself back down to underneath his coral. Well, holding on that, do you remember when cereal boxes, and I don't know if they still do this, but they would have toys in cereal boxes? You remember that? Okay, back when the Care Bears were a big thing, I was in my early 20s. I didn't have any kids yet, and I did not need a Care Bear, and I don't know what I got it out of, but I had the Care Bear sitting on the kitchen counter or whatever, and my husband at the time decided that he was going to rinse it off and throw it in Ollie's tank and see what happened. And so the Care Bear became Ollie's bear. It was his bear, and he never went anywhere without his bear.
Really?
And yeah, so what would happen is he would get the goldfish and he would swim down, but the problem is when he left underneath the coral, if it bounced right, it would go bounce, and then it would float up to the top of the tank. And so Ollie's coming down to his coral to feast on his goldfish, and then he would notice, my bear is up there. So he would go floating, swimming up, and so he'd have 3 or 4 around the goldfish and another 2 around the bear, and then he would get back underneath the coral and he would situate, his bear back there, and he'd get under here, and he'd eat his goldfish.
That's
Now
super
we had white Florida sand at the bottom of this 55-gallon salt tank, and it was just pretty. And across the room with the overhead aquarium lights on, it was beautiful. But if you get really close and you look at the sand, there were all of these intact goldfish skeletons sticking out of the sand because they have a beak, and they go and they pull the meat off of whatever they're eating, and don't break a bone. And when they're done, they go, "Pff," and a little skeleton goes floating out and lands in the sand.
Really?
That's
Yes.
really cool.
So that is my Ollie book. That's some of the stuff that's in there. There's a whole lot of other stuff. And actually it's going to probably be it's going to be a big book. It's going to be like my jelly beans. It's going to be an 11.5 by, or 11 by 8.5 landscape. Right now it's sitting at about 65 pages, which I think would be a big book. Yeah, but there's so much in it, and I've got octopus facts in it. Did you know
That's
that
cool.
there's so much oxygen in an octopus because they stay down for like 30 minutes or so underwater, that their blood is literally blue because it has so much oxygen in it. And all of those suckers, all on their legs, well, arms, appendages, whatever, all can move individually of each other.
What?
And there's like not 9 brains, but there's like 9 thinking centers. You've got the head, but each of those arms have their own brain, if you will, that they can do different things on it. And that's how the suckers is how they smell and stuff. I mean,
That's cool.
fascinating.
know
Goodness
that.
gracious.
Huh?
I said, goodness gracious.
Yeah, just the weird things. I would love to have another octopus, but man, that is so much work. It is so much work because you're working with an ocean, literally an ocean, and yeah. Oh, and they're much like those beta or those lionfish or whatever. They're very territorial. You don't have 2 octopuses or an octopus and a chocolate chip star or anything else in the tank. You have 1 octopus. That's what you got. And a plastic Care Bear. Okay, Sandy joined us and she said, sorry I'm late. You're talking about an octopus book. Did you write it? And what is the title? Well, yes, I did write it. And let's see, she wrote that at 6:37. And what time is it now?
6:42.
6:42. So you've heard 5 minutes of my Ollie story. Yeah, Sandy, I did write it. It's about my octopus named Ollie. I had him in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. I actually got him from, Liz, you might know where this is, out on 66th and Richfield, Exotic World of Fish, or it's right
Yeah.
on. If you take 77 up, you know, like you have the airport on the east side. If you get up on 66 there, it's literally a block or 2 down. It's on the north side of 66. Exotic World of Fish is where I got it. Ollie was probably about 6-7 inches long, tip of the tentacles to the top of his head. He came from the Caribbean. Part of my thing, I always wanted to write this, and on one of the videotapes in my house, I actually have footage. I have to find it. But what happened, and I don't know if they still do this to this day, I have no idea. I haven't gone shopping for an octopus lately, but what they'll do is they'll drop bases or vessels or whatever down into the ocean. It doesn't have to be very deep, 10, 16 feet. They put the food inside, and so you get this, and most often octopuses walk. They walk. So it's really interesting. I mean, the only reason they swim is either if they're hunting or they have to get somewhere fast, or if they fear something and then they ink and then they take off. But so they're just, checking around. They're like, ooh, a nice little cave, and ooh, look, there's food. And then they sit in there and then they eat. And then, of course, the people that are catching them to ship them to fish stores for people in Eden Prairie to buy, pull the bases up, and there you go. So that was part of my problem about, I wanted to write an informative kids book, but how do I start of like, okay, we were doing octopus trafficking. I stole an octopus out of the ocean. This is not a good way to start a children's book. So that was part of my, my big thing of not bringing this book to the market sooner. And finally about 2-3 years ago, I figured, I know how I can get this started.
It's
So I'm not
time.
huh?
It's time.
It's time, yeah. I've actually had it in front of Kayla's my third illustrator I've had it in front of, and Kayla's got the book. She'll do it as soon as I give her the green light. It's just, again, I either have to pare it down or understand that a 65-page book is gonna cost, because the illustrations aren't bad. The printing is it's the illustrations is already edited. Ray edited it and everything. It's, you know, it's ready to go. The problem is it's the printing with the quality premium ink on the paper to make it a nice looking book is a lot of money, especially a 65-page book. You know, Jelly Beans is what, about 50, 52 pages. And so this is a little bigger, a little thicker. But Ollie is, I mean, he was just one of the best pets. You know, I had dogs all the way since I got, you know, home from the hospital, but Ollie was fun. And I look forward to bringing him out to the world and showing, because lots of fun and lots of facts in it. Let's see, I have probably 2 other children's books ready to go that I just need to get illustrated and designed and all that good funky business. And then last couple of weeks, I've had different children's books ideas, like, okay, enough of the ideas. Oh my gosh. Because along with that, I have a novel. Okay, so the I Do book I wrote in 28 days in August 2005. Wrote it in 28 days. My mom first edited, then Chelsea edited it, and it went out. There you go. And then I republished it in 2014-15. But that turned on the faucet. So then I came up with another fun novel in September of 2005 that I have been sitting on. And now actually Zach is turning that into a screenplay. Not really a screenplay, a TV script. And we've been working back and forth on that. So I've kind of given that to him as, you know, that's your project, and do what you can with it. Yeah, it's a great premise. I look forward to seeing what he comes up with. And then I've got a murder thing too, that I actually came up with after a snowstorm. I was in Peoria. I was on, oh gosh, I was at a stoplight with my kids and it just popped in my head. I was crossing over War Memorial Drive. I was going north on, I think it's Knoxville. And there was I came up with this really good idea, and I'm like, oh my God, we need a piece of paper and a pen and whatever. And there was a Walgreens up on the northeast corner of that intersection. And when the light turned, I went up and I drove into the Walgreens, and I had 4 kids in the car going, oh my God, do we have to sit here? And I'm like, yes. And I'm sitting there writing, you know. And so I came up with that in December of 2006. So yeah, I have books that are all I just need to write them. Okay, Sandy also writes, I'm familiar with yours and Amy's books, but not Lyz. Lyz, what genre do you write? Oh, you're being put on the spot.
I guess what genre is Shadow Speak?
That is a psychological thriller, dark fantasy.
Somewhere along those lines.
Okay. Definitely not something for kids to write. Sandy, Lyz is our accountant. She is the one who makes sure that Kiersten doesn't go crazy and run around the world spending lots of money. And she also pays all the authors. And so yeah, she's the backbone of what makes Fox Pointe tick, along with Brad, who's hiding here and makes sure that we can get online.
The man behind the curtain.
The man behind the curtain, exactly. Oz. But so if Lyz were to write, she has that.
Yeah, that's typically, I think at one point I was messing around with like a murder mystery, but the ones that I usually do for fun in the closet kind of thing are typically fantasy of some sort.
Okay. So she's a dark fantasy author in the closet. One of these days we'll unlock the closet and drag her out of there, whether she likes it or not.
Right, because we will not forget.
If I can find some of like my super old school poetry, we could probably throw some of that together too. It's dark, but
Mhm.
I know I wrote them down. I just don't know where they are.
You do realize that every time, everything you tell us now, we're going to hold you to, and you've spoken it into the internet world.
Uh-huh.
It's
Then I'll be like, do you want to get paid?
On the what?
Do you want to get paid?
Oh.
royalties for
Oh,
she's
anybody.
being
Oh.
mean. Mommy, she's being mean.
It would be fun to, they're super juvenile. I mean, I wrote them, the last time I wrote poetry was back in like middle school, high school.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I might have burned them because like looking back when like, no, nobody's ever reading these.
Ever.
Ever.
Well, Paula, I think, is going to be settling in on an annual book of poetry, and I know she's got a gazillion poems. I mean, that's where lies for her, and she's constantly thinking of other stuff and writing. But yeah, she's got that Tears of Joy, Tears of Pain, and I'm probably butchering the title, and I apologize, Paula. But I can picture it, and it's on the retail site. By the way, if you're wondering where you can find our fascinating books, you can find them at foxpointepublishing.com. That's FOXPOINTE publishing.com under Shop Now in the navigation. You'll find all of our books. I had someone, it was when AJ, Joanne, and I were out in Boone, Iowa this last Saturday, and AJ and I were out in the front of the store and outside, and a guy walked by, and we're like, hey, you got, he had kids crawling into his car, and we're like, hey, are you here to go to the book fair? And he's like, well, maybe I'll come back or whatever the case may be. And he goes, I gotta go check with the wife to see what we have for books. And I said, and it's true, unless you put it this way, our books, courtesy of COVID, are not everywhere yet. So if you like any of the books that you see on our webpage, the best place to get them is on our webpage. We are not in all the big chain stores and all that kind of thing. I mean, the economy is still reeling from COVID, and yeah, so I can't wait until that's all done. But if you like any of the books that you see, you can find it at foxpointepublishing.com. If you happen to have an independent bookstore or another retailer that offers books in all of their inventory and stock, they sell books, or your local library or whatever, and you have some of our books and you enjoy them, please take them to those places and say, hey, you really need to get a hold of those people. And all of our information is either on the back of the book or that legal page that shows all the Library of Congress control numbers and ISBNs. Anyway, all right, so Sandy, yeah, Liz doesn't write books yet, but one of these days we will pull her out of the author closet and then make her write a book.
So can I volunteer something?
Oh, sure.
So I found that book about the cult, and
Okay.
it currently stands at 22,338 words.
Okay. So you only have about 70,000 more to go.
That's how many?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, if you put out what is it? About 98,000 words is 300 pages.
Oh, okay.
It's just like, oh.
Can I read just a real quick beginning of it?
Oh, sure.
Marceline crouched silently, unmoving in her familiar safe place. She and her mother had fashioned it out of materials scattered across the farmyard. Tucked in the back corner of the hayloft, it was impossible to see the structure from the ground, even for Albert. She heard his footsteps round the corner and enter the front door. The 3-inch leather strap he used on beast and human thumping against his hand in 3/4 time, like the terrifying waltz He sometimes made Mama dance with him. She heard him enter first Jack's stall, who whinnied for his supper, then Jill's, who simply snorted at him. He struck her with a strap and she shrieked. Albert went into every stall and counted all 8 horses and the 4 cows that weren't out to pasture as they were close to giving birth. Except for the frightened shifting of hooves from the fearful animals and the lowing of the pregnant cows, Marceline heard only Albert's breathing. It suddenly occurred to her that if she could hear him inhale, then surely he could hear her. She reasoned that if she simply stopped breathing, she would eventually have to take a huge breath, thus giving herself away. So she started taking slow, deep breaths. The next thing she knew, her mama was pulling on her foot.
Very
See?
good.
I want to read it.
My beta reader.
See, you got your first beta reader. Well, you know, the one that we were talking with another author this morning, myself and Chelsea, and it was brought up again that Chelsea wants to put a book out, and all of us who have ever gone through the gauntlet of editing that I name it the gauntlet, and has AJ's like has gone up against Chelsea, and she is good at what she does. I mean, she is good. Without her, we would just be a mess. But when her book comes out, do you know how many people are going to want to beta read, an alpha read on hers, and give her constructive criticism?
It's payback time for Chelsea.
That's funny.
We may never see a book from her. She'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." No, I know she wants to write. She would be excellent. Matter of fact, Brad, who's on here, he would be really good at it too. He's got
Brad.
He's got
Just
a
saying.
story. I've seen it. I've read part of it. He needs to expand on it. It's impressive. I mean, it's like literary fiction impressive. All right. So from Sandy, she writes, "Can autograph books be ordered?" Yes. As a matter of fact, AJ, what is your website, or how do people get a hold of you to order any of your books?
Well, they go to foxpointepublishing.com and click on professionals, and I'm the first one because Amy starts with A. So
That's
I'm
true.
in what looks like a leather jacket, though it is not. And click on my picture and scroll to the bottom of the page and you'll see all the books.
Yep, and you'll see AJ's email. Just email her and say, "Hey, how do I get an autographed book from you?" All
Right.
of our authors can sell directly to the public as well. If you're not looking for an autographed copy, then you can get it straight off foxpointepublishing.com. And I should say most authors have the ability to take Square or Venmo or PayPal or whatever. Some do not, and in that case, we can also, you can get your book through Fox Pointe Publishing, and then they can send, what's it called? The book plate, thank you, that you can just attach, stick into the inside of the book as well. And we can do that.
Right. And I've done both, and I have a Square, which helps, and it's aj.sullivan706@gmail.com.
Yep.
I know I said that too fast, but
You could repeat it.
aj.sullivan706@gmail.com.
There you go. So that's how you find AJ's. She does the Bobby book series, Finkel and Franny, which, by the way, sold like 6 soft covers and 2 hard covers.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that 2 Flies have become my bestseller.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. I mean,
and it's a true story.
It is. Well, that's what it is. It's the true story aspect. And for the fact that it's so relatable, how many of us have had Finkles and Brannies in our car? But Yeah, Finkel and Franny, the Bobby Bear book series, Hearth and Gnome, and then when she puts out her thrillers and mysteries and cults and all that other good fun stuff she's got going on. She has what, four drawer file cabinets of manuscripts, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Okay, so
Well,
she's got-
they're all computerized now.
oh,
I did,
good.
yeah. I decided it was kind of important
Yeah,
to do
yeah,
that.
it is. It is.
That took up a lot of my time during
bet it did.
COVID.
I bet it did. Wow. Well, I'm impressed because I would still be sitting there looking at those four drawer file cabinets. You know, one of these days, yeah. Okay, anyway.
Now that they're digitized, I'm down to this,
Oh, that's impressive.
but everything else is digitized.
Okay, well done. All right, well, it's 7 o'clock and you've heard us. I don't know who out
Banter.
there listens to Bob and Tom in the morning whenever I can find a radio station that has Bob and Tom. And at 9 o'clock in the morning, they'll put on, they play a little background music and they're like, things we've learned on today's show. So things we've learned today on Fox Talk Live on November 9th. All right, let's see. Liz's business has just expanded in a great way. She's gone from 5 or 6 people to 23, maybe 25 different businesses. And she's going to move down the hallway. And she has one piece of equipment that if it falls on your foot, you can kiss your foot goodbye. And so that's that. We discussed that. And we discussed how she cut her teeth with, well, not like really, but cut her teeth driving down West 7th and turning on to 35E when she was a teenager. And her daughter's going to go for her driver's license in February. So now we know about that. And let's see, for AJ, what have we learned about you? You have a grandson in driver's ed. And let's see, what else did we learn that we didn't? Oh, and she's got cults. And I mean, she doesn't have her own cult.
It is a cult. It's a book about,
she has a book about
cult.
cults. and thrillers and mysteries and all that good stuff. What else did you bring up? We've just been jaw wagging about everything.
Bobby Bear Goes Camping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't bring up the other critters in cars that I've been contemplating since Finkel and Franny is doing so well.
Well, it is. Yeah.
There's mice and snakes and yeah.
All sorts of fun things. And then we learned about how octopuses have a lot of oxygen in their blood where it's blue blood, actually. It's really pretty. I mean, not that you should open up an octopus. Never mind. Okay.
I really want to read that book, so you better get to it.
Oh, I can send you the manuscript. I just have to, I want to pare it down from 65 pages. I mean, but it's really cool. Okay, so and let's see, and how to kidnap an octopus if you're in the Caribbean. Useful things to know.
And that they like Care Bears.
Huh?
And that they like Care Bears.
Yeah.
I think that's so cute.
It is, I can't imagine.
And let's see, and other things. And how many bodies you can fit in the trunk of a Chrysler New Yorker. They should preferably be alive. And you want to open the trunk to give them fresh air so they stay alive, because if they die, then your whole upholstery stinks and the value of the car plummets.
And Febreze doesn't work for that?
Not really. No, you really have to get in and do a deep clean. Febreze is just a topical thing.
True.
I'd replace the carpet.
Yeah.
At least the carpet.
At least the carpet, maybe some of the foam in the seats and and that Novas drive sideways down the road because their alignment just never. And then AJ had one that a garbage truck slammed into. See all the fun and exciting things you can learn on a Fox Talk Live event. I wonder how well this is going to rate on YouTube. Anyway. All right. So we will be back on December. What? December
14th?
14th?
Or is it?
Yeah. No,
14th.
November 23rd. Yeah.
Oh,
we still got to do November 23rd.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's so close to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we'll be back on November 23rd, and then the last one will be December 14th. And then I have been voluntold that I'm driving a U-Haul out to Colorado, whether I like it or not. And so that's why I'm gonna do the rest of December. And all right, so Fox Talk Live's second and fourth Tuesdays here, and you can learn all about neat new stuff. If you would like to check out our books, foxpointepublishing.com, that's FOXPOINTE publishing.com. Click on shop now. I mean, everything in the kitchen sink is on that website. And then, yeah, that's about it. You have a wonderful day in your neighborhood. And you guys have any great words of wisdom to tell the world?
Don't drop really big file cabinets on your foot.
I have something. Everyone has a story to write. You are all individuals. You've all had a very unique set of circumstances and a unique set of people who have influenced you, and you all have a story in you. Write it down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Declutter your brain, write down your story, whether it goes anywhere or not, but just get it out of your head. Do a
There's
brain
nothing
dump.
magical about being an author. There isn't. You just write. The magic comes when the editors come in and start slashing and trashing, but you know.
You put it through the Chelsea gauntlet.
Yeah, through
Yes.
the gauntlet. And yeah, and of course, Chelsea is added to the editing department. I think there's like 13 incredibly picky people over there, and it's good that they're picky.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, she's got people all over the place that I'm sending contracts to that, you know, alpha and beta and
Really? I did
proofreading
not
and-
know.
Oh yeah, she's got a whole thing going on over there. Now all you gotta do is add, I've got to build up the sales department, you know, because we got to take over the world. That's what it's on my to-do list. Anyway, all right. So thank you for joining us this evening and listening to us banter back and forth about various interesting topics and subjects. And now you know where our books come from, because we're very creative and
Or crazy.
crazy. I was going to say
Crazy.
creative or crazy people. And anyway, have a wonderful day. foxpointepublishing.com. The website has everything. You can order. Actually, the sooner you order, if you want it for holidays, the sooner it would be better, because I hear shipping is just going to be insane. So let us know sooner than later. And I thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight. Bye.
Bye.